and start recording again. And also swap the music. Hold on. Alright. Let's get started. 3, 2, 1, go. Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be doing a speedrun explained video for The Legend of Notch. So let's talk a little bit about this game first. The game is a Minecraft mod / map. It's called The Legend of Notch. And basically what it does is it turns Minecraft into an RPG. You have to progress through the storyline, and as you do so, you have to, level up, gain experience, and eventually fight the final boss, at which point you beat the game. And I will be running the no sequence breaks category, which means you have to complete all of the objectives, you can't skip any, and you can't go in the wrong order. And I will be running the cheats subcategory of no sequence breaks. In the cheats subcategory, what you are allowed to do is you're allowed to use all of the debug menu features that are in the cheats menu of this game. So for example, you're allowed to teleport back to the main town instantly. You're allowed to use a cheat that gives you infinite money in max level. And what that does is it significantly cuts down on the amount of RNG in the run, which makes it a lot more fun. In the no cheats category, you have to spend a lot of time grinding for money, for example, and if you get bad RNG, the run can die really quickly. But in this category, we have significantly less RNG to worry about, so it makes the run a lot more fun. So right now the game is just loading everything in. It has 4 progress bars. Progress 2 places all of the citizens that are story driven, and all of the NPCs that you can actually interact with normally. Progress 3 is random citizens, which can still be interacted with, but only through the thieving mechanic. And Progress 4 is the ore spawners. I actually don't know what Progress 1 does. I don't even know if it does anything. And once this ends, once Progress 4 reaches 100%, there will be a cutscene that says press enter to continue. Once you press enter, timing will start. So let me actually make sure my hotkeys are set correctly. They're not. Alright, so I need unsplit to be C, and then reset to be backspace. Alright, my hotkeys are active. Wait, did that just go up from like 11 to 24 attempts? 24 attempts is the correct amount, but yeah. So, in this category, and really any category, you will never see us use the ore spawners. There is a theoretical way, like sometimes if you hit escape on the cutscene here, it'll actually let you skip the cutscene. Wait, chat. Hold. What if? I just realized we might be able to do a faster intro cutscene skip in this game. Normally, you know how it says press enter to continue? What if you press escape on that screen instead? Does that still quit the cutscene? Knowing this game, it'll soft lock you. I mean, let's find out. If so, it'll save a couple seconds by skipping the intro cutscene. Alright. We're almost ready to start. Alright, escape does not work during this cutscene. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do during the run is we need to, quick cutscene skip there by the way. If you hit escape instead of pressing next, you can skip a short tutorial on how to use the user interface, so it's faster. So as you can see, we've immediately leveled up to level 75, which is the max. Now, what we want to do here is there are a couple of things that we need to do before going to Aldor. We need to complete a couple of tasks around town, and the main one is to select our class. There are 4 classes that we can pick. Far and away, the best one is Berserker. The reason is it does the most attack out of any class in the game. It has the most health, although that's irrelevant because we have enough attribute points to level up our health as much as we like. And the level 20 skill allows you to use speed 4 for 30 seconds, which is incredibly powerful in a speedrun. So, what we're going to do is set up for the run. We want to buy the best weapon. We want to buy 3 sticks, enough food for the entire run, so probably that much food is good. And we want to buy a full set of armor, minus the boots. And the reason we don't buy the boots is because we will get boots later on in the run, and we don't really need it for the first couple of boss fights. Next up, we need to purchase 2 stacks of glowstone dust. And the reason is, the game prevents you from breaking and placing blocks. Or sorry, prevents you from breaking any blocks, including stuff like wheat crops. However, you can still place blocks, which can be used to skip an insane amount of parkour section. And the fastest way to obtain blocks, assuming you have a lot of money like you do in this speedrun, is to craft them out of the glowstone dust which you purchase. So, that is pretty bad. There we go. And now, to close out this section, we need to buy a wooden weapon to progress the story. So now, the king tells us, I needed that. Come to the castle, I have work for you to do. And we need to collect taxes from people outside of the town, 4 of them. And while we do this, we also need to get 2 random drops from mobs. We need 2 string off of spiders. And after this happens, the king will get kidnapped. Johnny the Jobless, who's the 4th person we're supposed to collect taxes from, will be found dead. He'll have a letter saying, "The king is in danger. I have to warn him." And once we get back to the king, he will have been kidnapped. So the queen says, go to this magician Aldor. He'll know what to do. And Aldor will tell us there are 4 elemental brothers who have kidnapped the king, and they want to sacrifice him in order to summon Herobrine. And so it is our job to stop them. However, even at level 75, apparently we're not strong enough to fight them. So what we have to do instead is, first, we have to craft orbs that can make them weaker before we fight them. That is enough string, we're good to go. So, the basic premise of the run is we're going to be going through several different areas. First, we're going to complete some tasks in that area, then head back to Aldor. He will craft us an orb, which we can use to defeat the boss of that area. And then, after that, we will head back to the area, fight the boss, and once we've fought the boss, we go back to Aldor once again, and he will tell us the next area that we need to head to, as well as the tasks that we need to complete there. So, yep, next task is to talk to Aldor. Before we do that, very important to use a crafting table in town. Aldor's tower does not have any crafting tables, surprisingly. And craft this fishing rod. And now you might be wondering, why do we need a fishing rod? And the answer to that is, we will perform, I guess you could call it a skip. It's not really a skip, but we will perform a strategy that is definitely not intended by the developers and saves 16 minutes. So, as you have noticed, traveling to Aldor's tower takes a very long time from the main town. And this entire run, we will be based out of the main town for 2 reasons. Firstly, when you die, you always have 2 options: respawn at the main town or respawn in your current biome. So, we will be taking several intentional deaths to get back to the main town to skip a lot of walking. And secondly, the main town has a teleporter. For 100 coins, you can teleport from there to pretty much anywhere else within the entire game. So, there will be, if we don't use this skip, we will have a lot of running between Aldor's tower and the main town. Because, again, we're going to be based out of the main town, and there is no teleporter to Aldor's tower. Since we have to make this trip 9 or 10 times during the entire run, it's faster to not make the trip. Instead of us going to Aldor, we will bring Aldor back to us in the main town. And we will do that by punching Aldor all the way back to the main town where we have just come from. Come on. There we go. And the reason we need the fishing rod is to get Aldor up some blocks. Because, like, for example, if Aldor gets stuck in a corner like that, it's very hard to punch him out of the corner. And if you need to climb blocks, you can do that by spam punching Aldor with a perfect rhythm, but it is very difficult to do, so it's easier to just... Hold on. Also, I was supposed to split and I forgot. That's a really good Aldor split, though. The other reason is we have to, like I mentioned, we have to get Aldor up blocks, which is really hard with punching, so I just use the fishing rod since it doesn't even waste that much time to collect. The hardest part by far is getting Aldor down these steps. There we go. There is still some mob RNG in the run, like the string, which I mentioned earlier. But the areas with the most RNG are going to be jungle and volcano, which are going to be coming up. So let's talk a little, while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk a little bit about ice mountains. So the next area we're going to be heading to is the ice mountains. And while there are 2 tasks that we need to complete before we can fight the boss. We will need to first defeat 3 lost souls in order to help the mayor. This will give us an ice flower. And the Lost Souls fight is really easy. So it's literally 2 hits each on 3 Lost Souls. They do like essentially next to no damage, so it's not difficult. And then the second thing that we need to do is we need to enter a dungeon and fight a boss to obtain the Ice Soul. And the boss is not that challenging, but the dungeon itself has a couple of parkour jumps. The parkour section is not that challenging, but having the blocks here will still help us. It'll allow us to perform a skip that is faster. Anyway, just punch Aldor back. One thing you do have to be careful of during this section is do not punch Aldor with your weapon. Aldor does have a limited amount of health, and if you use your weapon, Aldor will actually die before you reach Port Juno, which will cause a soft lock. This mod has many unintentional soft locks that you can run into in a speedrun, so you really want to minimize the number of opportunities you give the game to screw you over like that. And so if you use the weapon and get soft locked, then it's just a bad time. It's faster to just pull it out when you need it like that, even though it is a little bit slower. Much safer. And one thing I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to switch the game to peaceful just so I don't have to worry about mobs. I will have to switch it back before teleporting to Ice Mountains, though. This is very important. If I forget this, I will have to respawn the mobs, which is allowed in the category rules. Even in no cheats, if you get soft locked, you can use a cheat from the debug menu to unsoft lock yourself. However, it is slower to do so, so I really have to remember to set the game back to easy. And we will be doing a lot of difficulty manipulation in this run. Difficulty manipulation being where you switch between peaceful and literally any other difficulty. And I'll explain the reason for that when we get to jungle, because that's where it will really become relevant. But for now, the main thing is, in this section, which is really annoying, we just want to make sure we're on peaceful. And then I'm going to switch it to easy because, of course, the bosses do the least damage on easy. So right now, switch it to easy. And one thing that I forgot to do earlier that I'm actually going to do right now is increase my health to about 120, just to make sure I have enough health for all the boss fights. Actually, I'm going to go for even more than that. Let's go for like 140. Let's be greedy. Alright, there we go. So now that we're back in the main town, we need to bring Aldor as close as we can to the teleporter. Because, again, that's going to be the main area. Like, this market, and especially the teleporter, is the area that we'll base the entire run on. It's less important in this category where you don't need to buy and sell items after the beginning of the run. But having Aldor here is still a time save, because you can just talk to Aldor, then immediately teleport. Just bring Aldor all the way up to that corner, and then teleport to the Snow Village. I need to double check that I'm on easy after this. I think I'm on easy, but I need to double check that. So right now we're just teleporting to the Ice Mountains. This skips the entire walking to the Ice Mountains. Alright, and we're on easy. Good. So let's go ahead and fight the Lost Souls. So right here, talk to the mayor, spawn in the Lost Souls. Lost Soul fight really easy. The hardest part about this fight is that sometimes the Lost Souls will spawn in weird areas and they take a little bit longer to kill because they're far away. Like right now. Where is the third Lost Soul? All the way over there. Okay. Was that the third one? Yes. Okay. So now we just talk to the mayor, who's going to give us the item required to open up the dungeon. Oh, I didn't finish eating that. That's really annoying. And yes, I do eat during the NPC cutscenes intentionally because you don't waste any time by doing so. So now we just head to the dungeon and we're going to go ahead and open it up. Bam, there we go. Little skip that you can do there. If you hold forward as you're entering the dungeon, you can If you hold forward as you're entering the dungeon, you can avoid landing in the water, which skips the time loss of having to get out of the water. And you're noticing there are a lot of mobs here. This is because we respawned them by switching the game mode to peaceful and then back to easy. And this does make the dungeon significantly more difficult. For example, if you fall right after a parkour jump, it can cost you a lot of time. And this is actually where we're going to use the first block of the run, right here. So right here, normally you're supposed to complete a short parkour section to get through. You can just do that and be on your way. Next up is the boss. This boss, is pretty easy, but it's a good explanation for how we do most of the bosses in this run. Most of the bosses in this run, we want to jump and click like this. Just spam click the boss until it's dead. Next up, we are going to use Problems with Mod I'm Stuck and Unstuck Me, which is a feature that allows you to teleport back to the main town at any time. And again, this saves us a lot of walking. The alternative is we could take an intentional death, but that is usually slower. So now we're just going to get the orb from Aldor for our first area and head back to the snow village in order to fight the boss. We need to go to the top of the mountain. This boss is actually an exception to the rule that I just explained. In this boss, you do not want to land critical hits because this boss has a tendency to shoot you up in the air. You know, being the air mage, it makes sense. So you want to avoid jumping at all times during this fight to avoid getting knocked away. And so I'm going to be doing this fight pretty much without critical hits, unless the boss knocks me up in the air and I happen to get one while falling downward. I don't know what that sound is. Is there an NPC dying somewhere? That does happen sometimes. The mod is very glitchy and was actually never finished. So a lot of the higher level stuff, it just isn't completed. For example, the weapons, they're supposed to be weapons higher than platinum, which you're supposed to be able to craft and not purchase. And they are in the game, but they're actually unobtainable. And there is Mystic Ore, which is programmed into the game, but actually doesn't exist within the game. Alright, so right here, I'm going to use my buff right here, Strong Attack 1, which just gives me strength for, I believe, 15 seconds or something like that. And take down the boss. With the insanely overpowered armor that you have, this boss is absolutely no challenge at all. There we go. And we are unfortunately behind. However, as we teleport back, we will have an opportunity to change that. Right now, it is still nighttime, so if I wanted to, I could go straight to jungle. But because this is a speedrun explained video, I'm going to set the time to night first. Using the innkeeper, you can set the time to the beginning of the night, which is very important because in jungle, we're going to be farming mobs. And mob RNG will be very important here. So, there are two tasks that we need to complete here. The first one is to obtain strong poison. And the second one is to obtain an item from a dungeon. The item from the dungeon is very easy. There's not even a boss fight for it. You just run through a couple rooms and you get it. However, the strong poison is a problem. You have to help out the villagers and then help out the leader in order to do so. First, the jungle leader will say, you have to fight, or you have to help members of our tribe to be accepted into our tribe. And then he'll say, I don't actually have the ingredients for the strong poison, JK. So you actually have to provide them to him. So at the moment, we are looking for mob drops, and specifically, we are looking for 4 different types of poison and 3 turtle shells. And we are looking to stay very, very far away from those gorillas as well. One aspect that I have not yet explained, but that is critically important, is staying away from gorillas. Gorillas are very, very deadly. In fact, in the no cheats category where you don't have an insane amount of health, they'll actually kill you in 1 hit, even with armor, which is pretty freaking bad. And normally you really want to ignore them, but since the gorilla is right next to multiple turtles and I need the turtle shells, I kind of have to deal with it. Alright, that's 1 turtle shell, respawn in biome. And one trick that you're going to see me use a lot here is a trick known as a peaceful trick. If I set the game difficulty to peaceful, and then back to normal, it'll despawn all of the loaded mobs and spawn in new mobs instead, which, given that we need specific mobs, is going to be very important for us. Alright, poison spider. Alright, there we go. That is the spider poison. And one more thing is, when farming, you want to make sure to stay on the coastline and the beach, because navigating around this area is significantly easier. Unless you see something off in the distance like that, which you need Oh, shoutouts to the poison flower. That's the second poison I've gotten. I don't know why I'm here. Okay, another gorilla. Yay! I really don't care about the gorilla. All I care about is this turtle. Alright, the turtle did not drop it, so I'm just gonna peaceful. And normal again. And there we go. I'm gonna try and stay away here so that, yes. No! I was hoping the poison tortoise would see me, but not the gorilla. Whenever the gorillas are around, they really just complicate things. I don't know if there are so many of them because I'm high level. I don't know if that dropped anything. I have to go back to check. But before I do, that is a snake egg. That's 3 out of 4 poisons. The last one I need is the poison tortoise. And I've had serious difficulty obtaining the turtle poison recently. So it's just not been dropping for me for whatever reason. So I really do hope that over here it dropped. It looks like it didn't, unfortunately. It's not even that rare of a drop. It's just I've been getting extremely unlucky. Consistently unlucky, I should say. On multiple runs in a row. Which does happen sometimes, unfortunately. If you don't get the RNG that you need before daytime sets in, that is usually an instant reset. There we go. That is 2 out of 3 turtle shells, so we're just missing the turtle poison and a turtle shell. Oh, there's a turtle right there. Of course, there are 5 or 6 gorillas ganging up on me. How do you even spawn 5 or 6 gorillas game? Like, how is this even fair? Alright, that turtle died, so I can peaceful it. And then normal it again. And go check if it spawned the shell. Yeah, these poison tortoise are very mean to me today. This is actually terrible RNG. There we go, that's the 4th poison that we need. Leave me alone, I just want to grab this. And then, there we go, thank you. And did the turtle drop its shell? No. Alright, screw it. There's so many mobs here, I'm just gonna peaceful it. Switch it back. Am I still on peaceful? No, okay. And I need 1 more turtle shell. And then I will have completed this section of the run. There is 1 more RNG section of the run after this, which is Volcano. But it is bad. But it is not as bad as Jungle. Jungle is really the RNG gauntlet of the run. And it is not over once you complete the 3 turtle shell quest, because after that, there is another villager, Motambo, I believe, who will ask you to catch 5 fish. So not only is fishing extremely slow in this game, but it's also random. And unfortunately, that we know of at least, there is no way to purchase fish. So we just have to take the time loss. And we just have to catch the fish. The reason I am doing the farming first is because I really don't want to waste nighttime on catching fish and then end up with not enough day and not enough nighttime to finish the mob farming. As seems to be the case now. Like, as you can see, I'm already behind in this split because of how bad my RNG was, even though I haven't even started the boss fight yet. Like, I'm nowhere near the boss fight. Seriously? There we go, finally. Alright, now we have to wait. There is one thing that does happen occasionally in this game, and that's what I would call an instant fish. Hold up. Sometimes it's possible for the bobber to go down instantly and you just catch the fish. My PB had 4 out of 5 instant fish, which is absolutely insane. So we are not beating that today. There's one. Two, that one was pretty fast but not instant. This is also a very old version of Minecraft, by the way. So this is based on version 1.2 of Minecraft. So it's actually impossible to get anything from a fishing rod other than a fish, which is very good for us because we really need fish. There is also, you might be wondering, why are we using this version of the mod? Some of you might know there's a more recent version of this mod, which is based on Minecraft 1.5.1. The problem with that version is it's actually impossible to beat unless you go into creative mode. So you actually have to play this version because it's the only version that's beatable without going into creative. There is a speedrun where you go into creative and grab just the items that you need on the most recent version, but I don't find it as fun because, sorry about that. In the more recent versions, what they did is they actually made even more mob drops required. Instead of needing to fight and get, instead of needing to complete 2 objectives in each area, which are, and then using Aldor to craft the orb. Hold on. I should explain villagers. Yes, that guy wants to know what's on the signs, which is really easy. It's just shortest to longest. This guy wants to fight, and this guy wants his back scratched. So the only really difficult ones are the one with 5 fish and the one with 3 turtle shells. And then the leader with who wants the 4 poisons, as I mentioned earlier. Right. As I was mentioning, the later version of the mod, the other problem that I have with it is extremely RNG heavy. There is RNG in every area, because the way you actually obtain the orbs is you craft them using a blank orb, which is obtained via a dungeon, and more critically, you obtain them through remains, which are usually like air remains, water remains, fire remains, whatever. And the problem with these is they are incredibly RNG heavy because they drop off of mobs, and that's the only way you're supposed to obtain them. So the entire run comes down to even more mob RNG. This game is very notoriously RNG heavy, both in speedruns and even in casual playthroughs it can be an issue. So you really want to minimize the amount of RNG, which is another reason why the cheats category is so vital, and I like it so much more than the no cheats category. Another thing we're looking out for throughout the entire run is an ender pearl. If we can get an ender pearl, we can skip a long swimming section at the end of the run, which would save a significant amount of time. So it doesn't have to, oh my gosh, multiple, no, I'm dead. Okay, I'm stuck in the web. I'm losing so much time to being stuck in the web. Alright. Let's have the difficulty back to easy. Explicitly easy, because this next boss fight, Water Mage, is actually arguably the hardest fight casually, and even in a speedrun it is quite difficult if you're using no cheats. The only reason we can do this fight deathless is, or I hope we can do it deathless, is because we have the best armor in the game and we have 154 health. If you were at the level that the game expects you to be, it's not possible to do it deathless. Also, side note there, you saw Aldor give us boots. Those are water walking boots, which have the same level of armor protection as Diamond, which is the entire reason we don't buy armor in the entire run. Or we don't buy boots, rather. So now we need to head to the giant lake, which is where we fight the next boss. And as you will notice, traveling to the giant lake is incredibly slow. which is another reason why the run is RNG heavy. If you get many deaths on this boss fight, the run is just over, because it takes almost 3 minutes to walk back to where Water Mage spawns. Yes, I know there's a gorilla directly behind me. Leave me alone. Use speed to hopefully get away from him, although I'm in a terrible area for that. So we really want to get this fight deathless, especially since we're already behind. And we're almost there. Now, normally, the game expects you to fight this boss out on the open water. Never ever do this. The boss has an insane amount of knockback, and your moving speed on water, even with the water walking boots, is ridiculously slow. So the first order of business once we spawn in the boss will be to get out of the water. So right here. Where's the right spot? There we go. Get out of the water right away. There's no questions asked. Run away. And I'm actually going to use Strong Attack 2 instead of Strong Attack 1. I'm also not going to try and jump too much. As you can see, this boss does an insane amount of knockback damage. Or I could just get stuck behind the tree and that works too. We're about to, bam. There we go. Water Mage is complete. The next area that we need to head to is the desert. And I haven't spoken about this area much, and the reason is it's not that difficult. Or at least not in terms of RNG. Desert comes with another challenge. You see the 31 glowstone blocks remaining in our inventory right now. Almost every single one will be used up in desert, because desert has two sections. The first one is a pyramid, which is normally a combination of maze, parkour, and a boss fight at the end. We can skip the maze and parkour sections using the blocks. So we can skip pretty much the entire dungeon except for the boss. Then we have to go to Secret Passage, which is a combination of a maze and parkour. This time we actually cannot skip the parkour. So we have to use the blocks to cheese it and cheese our way through. If you were really good at the game, i.e. not me, you could also opt to do the parkour normally. But I believe that it's actually even faster for a lot of the jumps to use blocks anyway, because you can take a shorter route through the parkour section. So the first thing is we need to head to the pyramid, which is another long walk, but thankfully the boss fight in the pyramid is literally trivial, so we do not have to worry about dying while we are there. Which would be very inconvenient, because if you did die, you would have to use even more blocks to skip the pyramid again. Thankfully, the game does respawn you right outside of the pyramid if you die inside of it, rather than bringing you all the way back to the desert village, though. So right now, this is an okay run in the sense that it hasn't died to a soft block yet. For those watching on YouTube, this is literally my 9th attempt of recording a Speedrun Explained video of this mod. That is how many RNG softlocks are in it. Every single attempt that I've had before this has died to an RNG softlock in one form or another. Gotta grab some food real quick. And right now, we're gonna use 3 blocks. And just like that, well, 4 blocks, fine. Just like that, we have skipped the entirety of the parkour section, minus this one jump of the entire dungeon. And if you fall, you have to do it again. Which sucks, because I really needed those blocks. Desert is not the last parkour section in the run. And we are about to begin this boss fight. This boss fight is really easy. The strategy that you have to employ here is hope that there aren't random zombies assaulting you, and try and get the boss stuck in a web, and then just use critical hits. There we go. Alright, now I'm actually going to do something very strange. I am going to teleport back to the main town, and then spend the money to teleport back to the desert village. And you might be wondering, why do we do this? And the alternative is, like I mentioned, if you take an intentional death in the biome and use the respawn in biome function, it will respawn you at the pyramid. And with 154 health, taking an intentional death is very slow. So if you had a excellent mob RNG, it would still be faster to walk a ways away from the pyramid and then take an intentional death. The problem is, since it's daytime, we don't really want to do that. So our next step is going to be going to Secret Passage, which is a maze followed by a parkour section. The maze normally requires you to hit 3 or 6 switches in the maze. However, the redstone for literally half the maze is wired backward. So we can actually hit only 3. That switch is optional, by the way. We only need to hit 3 switches within the entire maze in order to be able to progress. This way. The strategy that I'm using in this maze is a combination of always stick to the right wall and also, I think this switch is optional, but I'm going to hit it just in case. And me knowing the shortcuts through the maze. So for example, I know this leads me to the room at the end of the maze. And this way. And as you can see, the passage is open even though we literally just passed by a switch without opening it. And here, there will be a lot of swimming in lava involved in this section. Since we have an inordinate amount of health, we might as well just swim through all the lava that we can. And right there, just using the block instead of doing the intended parkour route. Now, this is the parkour section that can't really be cheesed. It can be somewhat cheesed by taking advantage of some, this can be somewhat cheesed by using some blocks, but at the end of the day, you still need to make it to the end of this section. Which, thankfully, yes, thankfully it teleports you back if you mess it up. But that's still not an excuse because messing it up is slower. Now you'll see, normally you're supposed to jump to the other side, but here, if you do this, it's faster and you stay. The trick is to stay on the right side of this massive chasm all the way up until the end of the section where you have to switch to the left. No! I overjumped it! Oh, I'm losing so much time to this parkour. It's not even funny. That was close. But yeah, you'll see me making heavy use of these blocks just to get through, because I really don't want to take the death here. Thankfully, you could just skip that last jump. And there we go. We get teleported out of the passage. Let's head back to Aldor. And this time, Aldor will actually teleport us to the boss arena, which is quite nice of him. I wonder, if I drop the Cursed Blood Diamond, will Aldor still be able to craft me the orb? Yes. And will I be able to fight the boss? The boss here will spawn even without you using the orb. And one thing you really want to do here is, yes, the boss can hit you and do an insane amount of knockback and then disappear. Although the disappearing part is new to me. This is going to be an insanely slow fight. But yes, you really want to get the boss stuck in the webs if you can. Thankfully, this zombie is actually punching me out of the webs. Kind of. Yes, there we go. So that made that a little bit easier than it otherwise would have been. Alright, there we go. And I lost even more time. But now we are coming up on Volcano. I have actually had a run to Volcano, finally. So I'm very happy with this. Now, we're going to set the time to night again. In Volcano, there are 2 things we need to do. One is a boss fight dungeon, and the other is farm mobs. Thankfully, this time we don't need drops, we just need the mobs to spawn to kill them. We need to kill 10 blazes, 7 fire spiders, and 3 lava zombies. So we're going to head over to the Volcano and do that. Volcano. Alright, and we have to talk to Bill to initiate the quest. I see 2 fire spiders up there already. The mob that is the hardest to spawn normally is the lava zombie, but by switching the game to peaceful and then back, the lava zombie is no longer an issue. Instead, our limiting factor is likely going to be the blaze. So, that's 1. And unfortunately, the volcano has very, very jagged terrain. So there's not really a convenient place where you can stay to farm mobs. You just have to walk around and see what you can find. 2 out of 7. And there is a lava zombie up there, but that's kind of out of my way. Yes, I'll go for it. Probably would have been faster to peaceful it, but if the game gives you good RNG, take the good RNG. Alright, 1 out of 4. I thought there were 3 there. Maybe I'm misremembering. Alright. Whoops. Peaceful. Normal. There we go. Oh, nice. That is a lot of blazes. Wow, that is actually really good RNG. Okay, a lot of stuff spawned, actually. Let's deal with the blazes first. And then let's go over and deal with the remaining lava zombies. And an extra blaze that just spawned in. Wow. This is actually pretty good so far. Alright, that's 2. Wow. Another blaze. Jeez. 3. Oh my gosh. This is Christmas come early. Minus the fire wisps. The fire wisps deal an insane amount of damage and they're very annoying and you don't actually need to kill any of them. Where'd the zombie go? There. Already killed enough zombies. Let's go. So now we have 4 blazes down here, which is an insane amount. After this one, I will switch to peaceful again. Alright. So we're at 7 blazes. It looks like the fire spider might actually be the limiting factor for us for once, which is quite shocking. Normally, that's not at all what you see. There's another one. I've noticed, although this is purely my own observation, usually blazes tend to spawn in pairs. There's one over there. So that's 8 blazes, I think. This is going to be 9. And there's a fire spider over there, too. Excellent. The fire wisps are really annoying. You really want to dodge them and ignore them because they deal a whole heck of a lot of damage. Alright, I'm not seeing anything else, unfortunately, so I'm just going to peaceful and normal. There's a fire spider down there. 5 out of 7. And of course it only spawns in fire wisps, which are the exact opposite of what we're looking for. Oh, there we go. I think that's all the mobs we need, right? Already killed enough blazes. And last fire spider. That was actually pretty good RNG. I'm quite happy with how that turned out. We're going to be saving a lot of time, but we're definitely not going to be green because of how much time we lost to RNG in jungle. So now we go hand in the quest to Bill. There we go. Now we need to locate... Did I just... Oh, I thought that was the fire orb for a second. But no, it's a flame heart, which is what he's supposed to drop. So now we just travel down here. And this is the final parkour section of the run. Actually, that is not quite true. depending on your definition of a parkour section. But yes, upcoming there are a couple parkour jumps that you do need to make, which is why we've saved a couple blocks for this area. That jump is not too difficult, but there's an upcoming one that I don't really understand how to do, and the intended route is definitely slower, so you just do that, and you're on your way. Oh, you have to place one more there. Right. Normally you're supposed to go through the lava, but you can just go around the side with the blocks. It works better. This fight is also very easy, so not much to say about it, really. A lot of bosses in this game are invisible, and I don't know why. Probably they just never bothered to design a sprite for them. Alright, there we go. And head back to Aldor. So, we need to collect the Fire Orb next. And Fire Mage is another very difficult boss fight. There's a chance that I take a death on this, even fully geared. So, I do have to play well on this fight. The fight also takes place at the top of the volcano, which, while not as bad as the lake in the middle of the jungle, does take a while to get back to from the death point. So, definitely not an ideal situation. Anyway, you want to climb up here. And I'm actually going to be using a little bit of a shortcut to get up to the top of the volcano. Normally you'd have to go kind of around a little bit of a longer path, but you can actually just skip that. Oh, I'm seeing too many mobs. Alright, peaceful. I should have set the time to day. That would have made my life significantly easier. Yeah, normally you're supposed to go around that lava fall that is off to my left at the moment. But we can just climb the volcano from this area, which is faster. So we're going to do that. So you can just go here. Yeah, as you can see, 2-block gap here. We can just plop a block down and then climb all the way to the top, just like that. Now we do need to do a little bit of parkour around the top of the volcano to get into position to spawn the boss, but it's nothing too bad. So we actually need to head over to this section, which, there we go. Now you'll notice I'm trying to spin around a little bit around this boss so that it makes it a little bit harder for me to hit. Even though it is a little bit slower, it is worth it because this boss, as you can tell, deals an insane amount of damage. I really want to use my strong attack here. Strong attack 2 does, I think, strength 4 instead of strength 2, something like that. Either way, it's more strength, but the same period of time, and the attack has a longer cooldown. So that's why sometimes it's better to use strong attack 1 instead of strong attack 2. We're doing okay. I don't like that I have the same amount of percentage health in terms of percentage as the boss. That is very bad for me, especially if I get knocked into the lava. Where is he? Alright, we've got this in the bag. Boom. Nice gold. Although, apparently I didn't even save that much time. Alright, so now, we go back to Aldor. The Fire Mage said, "You don't understand. Soon darkness will be all over this earth." And so, it turns out there is actually a 5th mage who is helping out with this. The Darkness Mage. And in order to obtain the items needed for the Darkness Mage, instead of there being 2 items, there are 3. And we need to go to the worst place in the entire game. At least in terms of, like, the story. The story is like, it's the worst place in the entire game. The entire island is infested with zombies. And it's the worst place to travel to as well, because there is no teleport. So we have to teleport to the desert town and then run all the way to Dark Forest. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. There are 3 quests that we need to complete here. The first one is just the standard dungeon boss fight. It's a very short dungeon, so nothing to worry about there. The second one is we need to rescue the corrupted village. The leader of the corrupted village had a son who was kidnapped by zombies. So we need to rescue him by killing 10 zombies, which, given the amount of health that zombies have in Dark Forest, is a very non-trivial task. That will then tell us we need to go to an island to retrieve a lost soul. And finally, the third quest is a very, very simple quest. We need to go to a mansion, and we need to ask a couple of questions for the people around there, try to figure out where the leader of the mansion is. Once we spawn him, he takes like 3 hits to kill. He's mad at us because we're looking around the mansion, I guess. And we can kill him and obtain the final item which we need, which is a golden cross. And then after that, we will head back to Aldor for the second to last time in the run. Now, one thing that's actually interesting in this run is you can actually, the debug menu slash, the cheats menu has a way to respawn bosses in case you get soft locked. And the last boss that you can respawn is actually the first boss that is in Dark Forest. So in an any percent speedrun, what you would do is respawn the boss in Dark Forest and head straight here and then complete the game from here on out normally. The one difference is you are allowed to use the Herobrine quick kill in the any percent category, but you are not allowed to use it in the no sequence breaks category. Also, yes, this area is normally supposed to be set permanently to night, but sometimes the trigger is delayed a bit. So just head down into here. I'll talk about the Herobrine quick kill a little bit. So the Herobrine quick kill, normally the way Herobrine works is there is an NPC Herobrine with actually very little health that stands there for a solid couple of seconds. Then a text box pops up, and Herobrine will say, "You fool, what have you done?" At which point the actual boss fight begins. If you kill Herobrine before the "you fool" text box, which is definitely doable, it only takes like 3 hits, then you can technically defeat Herobrine. The problem is this actually soft locks the game because it means it's impossible to progress into a post-game story state. So in no sequence breaks, it's not allowed. In any percent, since the definition of completing any percent is beating Herobrine, it's fine, even though it technically doesn't trigger the credits. However, in this category, since we need to achieve the post-game state, we have to, oh my gosh, that is actually perfect. Since we need to achieve the post-game state, we need to kill Herobrine the normal way. We cannot use the quick kill. And here you'll notice I'm going to take an intentional death to get back to the corrupted village faster. Respawn in biome. There we go. We're now back at the corrupted village, and this is faster than traveling there. Alright, put my armor back on for this upcoming fight. So Frank says, "Please find my son." I'm pretty sure he went south. So let's go ahead and rescue Frank's son. So right here is Gerald. When we talk to him, Gerald spawns in 10 zombies, which we need to fight. Not much to say about this fight other than you have to keep backing up, use the trees to your advantage, and definitely don't get stuck right next to the zombies with a block right behind you like I almost did right there. There are some more advanced skills, like there's a skill, the one after Strong Attack 2, allows you to summon a bunch of lightning and kill mobs. The problem is you need to get lucky with the lightning, and lightning very rarely strikes mobs. So even if you do, getting a lightning storm that's actually effective and kills enough mobs is basically requires tasks like RNG. And as you can see, we don't actually need to kill all the zombies because some new zombies joined the party during that sequence, which we don't need to kill. So let's just go ahead and talk to Frank again, and he'll tell us where to find the lost soul. There we go. So now we just head to the island where the lost soul is, retrieve the lost soul, and then we will head to the butler's mansion, or not the butler's mansion, Sir Ernest's mansion rather, and retrieve the golden cross as well. Wow, I've done a lot of talking this run. My throat is definitely sore. Thankfully, we have not passed the last soft lock point, or last known soft lock point in the run yet. The last known soft lock point is the Darkness Mage fight. Can sometimes not spawn in. So right here, we're actually going to cut across the back of the graveyard that we were in earlier. We cannot take a death here because it'll send us back to the corrupted village. And we don't want to go there. The mansion is in a different part of the island. And now here at the end, it is faster to take a little shortcut through the woods. Like, there we go. So now we need to talk to the butler. The butler is going to say Sir Ernest not here. That is a lie, so we need to talk to the chef to confirm that it is a lie. And then after that, after we talk to the chef, we need to look for a key to find a potential key to the locked door where Sir Ernest might have gone. So we head upstairs, find the key, and then Sir Ernest will get mad at us for looking around his mansion, or at least the parts that require this key. So he will appear, we fight him, he drops the golden cross. And that will be the last item that we need from Dark Forest. After this point, the game is just Darkness Mage and then Herobrine. You don't actually need the key to spawn in Sir Ernest there. I don't know why I do that. Alright, head back to Aldor. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and then here, a major plot twist is about to unfold. We need to find the Darkness Mage. However, it turns out that the Darkness Mage is actually the king. The king was the Darkness Mage all along. What? I know, right? It's crazy. So now, we need to kill the king. Hopefully before he spawns Herobrine. Here we go. I love how I have no music playing during this section. I don't know if this can still sub-hour. I think maybe. And you may notice I've been backing into a specific direction here. That's because this way when I get hit by the boss, I'm intentionally traveling closer to the teleporter, which we're going to need very soon. Unfortunately, we were not able to obtain any ender pearls during this run, so we're going to be losing time due to that. Alright. So now Aldor is going to tell us, Herobrine has been summoned. Our greatest fear has come true. We need to go to the far lands to fight him. There is also no teleporter to the far lands. The fastest way there is to teleport to the jungle and run from there. Thankfully, once you enter the far lands, you will respawn in the far lands, but traveling to the far lands still takes a very, very long time. Regardless of whether you do it from the main town or from the jungle area, which is slightly quicker. And I apologize for the screen, whatever you call this. There's not much I can do. So the first thing we want to do is get to the western edge of the jungle island so we can take advantage of the beach and run along the beach, which is faster. Because here you have to navigate difficult terrain, you have to jump constantly, so it really cuts down on the amount of use you can get out of something like Speed 4. Whereas once you're on the beach, it's wide open, it's flat, and you don't have to worry about it at all. Frick, I just undid all the splits because I forgot. That's fine. My summon best is already a 49 anyway. So now we just need to travel north, and then there will be a swimming section where you jump off from the jungle island in the direction of the far lands. I will be using these last 3 blocks. Since the water is 1 block deep everywhere in the entire map, we can use that to our advantage to try and skip as much swimming as we can. But at the end of the day, there is only so much we can do, so we will have to take part of the swimming section slowly, especially since we didn't get an ender pearl. There is one last chance. This area right here where the gravel starts has an insane amount of enderman spawns. So if we get lucky and we have an enderman spawn right now, there is still a chance that we can use it. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be that lucky. Yep, no, not happening. You might notice I'm not traveling to these islands right away. I really want to maximize the amount of time that I spend on land. So that means I'm willing to go a little bit further, just so it means I have to swim a little bit less. All right. Oh, dang it. And now we just have to run slowly all the way to the far lands. I think this can still sub hours. It's going to be close though. And now we need to fight the final boss of the game, Herobrine. Herobrine is an incredibly difficult boss fight. Like, Fire Mage was nothing compared to Herobrine. Deathless Herobrine is literally impossible. Thankfully, even if you do die, you will respawn very close to a boss, so it's not as big a deal. In phase 1 of Herobrine, right when he spawns, he will go absolutely insane, shooting out projectiles at a rate that is never seen before, but after that, he will calm down. So yeah, right now, I could kill Herobrine, and that would count as a Herobrine quick kill, but it wouldn't trigger the credits after I defeat him. So I do have to wait. Alright, here we go. As you can see, Herobrine throws all of these projectiles. The knockback on them is incredible, so you just have to wait and try and get a hit in during this phase and try and stop the madness. If you take a death, Herobrine will also stop this attack. Here we go. And Herobrine has many different attacks that he can use. He can spawn mobs, he can punch you, he can do all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, we just deal with him pretty much the same way as any other boss, except slower. Yeah, as you can see, Herobrine spawns in a ton of insanely high-level zombies. The trick always is Herobrine tends to be faster than the mobs, so separating Herobrine from the mobs that are protecting him is the way to go. Especially these higher-level zombies. The other mobs are not as bad a deal. Also, if you push Herobrine off the edge, he will just respawn at his default location, so that's another thing that you can use to separate him from mobs. Usually it's slower to do that, though. Yep, there are the blaze spawns. Again, I don't care about those because those can be defeated in one hit. The higher level zombies are the only real attack that Herobrine can do to us that will cause significant issues. Yeah, this is not sub-hour anymore. That's fine. So, as you can see, Herobrine just spawned more high-level zombies. Also, when Herobrine reaches half health, his sprite will grow. However, his hitbox stays the same size. So there's no advance. And you'll notice I'm targeting his feet very specifically. That's intentional. Herobrine's hitbox is very weird. It's mostly in the feet, so that's really the area that you have to aim for. Where did he go? Oh, that was a very bad move of him. I didn't know he could spawn in 3 rounds of zombies. I always thought it was only 2. Don't push me off the edge. Good. Herobrine is about to die. Fall off the edge with me. No, fine. Alright. Yeah, Herobrine is surrounded by higher level zombies, unfortunately. So it makes it quite difficult to finish him off. Just because I got bad RNG on exactly where they spawned. And timing will be once I defeat Herobrine on the final hit. Get ready to split as well. Bam, time. How can you? You fool! You'll regret that soon. What happens if I die during this cutscene? I'm immune to dying during this cutscene. Let's let the credits roll. Thanks for watching, everyone. That was The Legend of Notch Speedrun Explained. Since this wasn't a PB, I'm not going to bother letting the credits roll. I'll see you next time. Bye. Let's raid Verdict as well.